Chosen one, you were guided here for a reason. Not everyone was meant to receive this. This is not just another message online. This is the moment your path aligns with what was written about you long before you were born. What if I told you they never wanted you to know how early you were marked? You have felt it in your bones. That sting of mockery, the hollow laughter when you dared to dream. They laughed because they saw the spark in you long before you even recognized it yourself. Your journey has been shadowed by ridicule and exclusion, but today you will understand the hidden purpose behind every scoff and every whisper. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Stay with me, because the truths you're about to uncover will turn every wound into fuel for your rise. The mockery was never about you. In the soft glow of a half-remembered dream, you find yourself standing before a mirror that reflects not your face, but the fire flickering within your chest. An inner voice, gentle yet insistent, whispers, "Do you see what they cannot bear to witness?" In that moment, the sting of every mocking laugh you ever heard shifts from a personal failure to something far more profound. You sense that those jeers weren't aimed at mere weakness, but at a spark of light burning too brightly for their comfort. This is your invitation to step closer, to recognize that what once wounded you was in fact a herald of the brilliance you carry. There were times when you walked rooms feeling like an outsider, your thoughts too vivid for the mundane conversations swirling around you. You remember the ache when your poetry was dismissed as fanciful, or when your questions about purpose were met with scoffs. Each impulse to hide your wonder felt like a betrayal of your own heart. In those lonely moments, when the classroom chatter left you hollow or the office banter hummed with hidden judgments, you sensed something was off, though you couldn't name it. That quiet isolation, born of sensitivity and longing, was the soil for which your real calling would grow. Now consider that those feelings of being too different were not accidents of personality, but echoes of a deeper design. The same spiritual architecture that guided Moses through burning bushes and parted seas shaped your path long before you recognized its presence. Just as God sent a gentle, mysterious voice to Elijah after the wind and the earthquake, so too did your soul receive nudges in the margins of your life. 1 Kings 19 verses 11 to 12. When your proposals at work were sidelined, when friendships fractured over your convictions, these were not arbitrary slights, but signposts pointing toward your true mission. Pay attention to subtle signs you may have overlooked. The inexplicable chill that cut through a warm room when you spoke your truth, the wave of relief when a friend unexpectedly echoed your private vision, or the moment a random song lyric resonated with your unspoken pain. These whispers of alignment have always threaded through your experiences like silver veins in dark stone. Each coincidence, that moment of deja vu at a crossroads, that vivid dream of wings unfolding, was a seed of awakening seeking fertile ground in your awareness. In the quiet spaces between your thoughts, an unshakable knowing has always pulsed. You were never mistaken in your deepest instincts. When you chose the harder path because it felt right, even though no logical reason beckoned, you were aligning with a wisdom older than time. That slow, gentle confirmation is now spreading through your being like morning light across a still lake. You begin to feel a spiritual safety settle over you, a quiet assurance that you can trust the compass of your own soul. As this new awareness takes root, you realize that what lies beneath the surface is not a new self to be constructed, but an ancient self to be remembered. Beneath every doubt and every attempt to conform was a hidden identity, a sovereign spirit waiting to claim its birthright. Think of Joseph, who endured betrayal and exile only to sit enthroned, interpreting dreams as a conduit of divine purpose. Genesis 41 verse 41. Within you too rests an archetypal memory, a resonance of destiny that can never be erased by ridicule or shame. Now, feel the stirrings of your own authority rising. Embrace the truth that your sensitivity is not a weakness, but a gateway to profound insight. Your intuition, once dismissed as overreaction, is now a sharpened tool cutting through illusion. This is your first activation, an initiation into the power of your own knowing. You step forward not tentatively, but with deliberate intent, gathering the fragments of your courage as a cloak against the voices that sought to diminish you. Your arrival at this moment was never random. Every laugh aimed at you, every sneer and unkind word, was a spiritual mirror reflecting the greatness you bear. Comment mirror if you felt their laughter cut deeper than words. And as this truth settles in your bones, prepare to uncover why their fear propelled them to mock, and how, in that revelation, you will find the keys to rise beyond their scorn. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community, a private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us. Insecurity projects as laughter. Have you ever noticed how a laugh can land like a fist? It begins in a crowded room with an offhand joke, and yet the aftershock ripples through your chest long after the moment has passed. In that instant, you feel an invisible hand pressing against your spirit, as if something unseen recoils at the light you carry. This isn't mere coincidence or casual teasing. It is a first tremor of resistance rising to meet you. You sense that before you even spoke your truth, forces were already marshaling to suppress it. And in that strange heaviness, you glimpse the outline of a battle that stretches beyond any one person's cruelty. There were countless times when you left conversations feeling hollow, as if your words had been swallowed by a void of indifference. You replayed each barb in your mind, the well-meaning patronizing smile, the colleague's clipped laughter, the friend who changed the subject when you spoke of your vision, and wondered what was wrong with you. Shame and self-doubt became old companions, whispering that perhaps you really were too bold, too sensitive, too much. You carried the weight of unspoken apologies, convincing yourself that if you just toned down your fire, the world might grow gentle enough to hold you. But what if that pressure was never about your fault? What if it came from deeper currents, systems, energies, even spiritual forces that recoiled at the promise stirring in your soul? In the wilderness, the Israelites felt the crushing weight of exile long before they saw the promised land. Exodus 16. Their trials were not random calamities, but sacred forging grounds. Likewise, the sharp edges of your experiences were shaped by a hidden architecture designed to test and refine your potential. When they pushed back against you, it was because they sensed the magnitude of your purpose and feared its unfolding. Turn your gaze back across your life and watch how the same scenes have repeated. The promotion you lost under mysterious evaluation criteria, the friendships that frayed just as you began to shine, the creative project that stalled at every turn despite your fervor. It's as if the universe held up a mirror only to wipe it away moments later, leaving you disoriented. This pattern was never accidental. It was a fog drawn around you so that you might learn to step by faith. In recognizing these recurring betrayals, you light a candle in the darkness of your past, and suddenly the shapes become clear. Feel the atmosphere shift as you realize these were not isolated incidents, but the visible surface of a spiritual counterforce. There were days when the air felt thick, as if silent watchers hovered at the edge of your vision, blocking the path you tried to walk. Doors that once opened effortlessly slammed shut without warning. A fog settled in your mind, dulling your clarity and draining your vitality. This was no mere coincidence, but an energetic interference, an ancient tactic to silence anyone whose soul buzzes with uncontainable light. How did you respond to such subtle sabotage? Perhaps you learned to shrink yourself, speaking less, hiding your gifts to avoid further attack. You may have embraced the role of peacemaker, bending to others' comfort at the cost of your own voice. Or maybe you rebelled quietly, chafing against constraints, but never fully stepping into the power you sensed stirring beneath the surface. Each reaction was born of self-preservation, a strategy to survive the mounting pressure. Yet every time you dimmed your light, a part of you whispered that there must be another way. Now, let the tide of that revelation begin to turn. The very forces that press against you serve as proof of your rising power. Their attempts to suppress your voice were not victories over you, but confirmations of your calling. You are the clay shaped by crucible and flame, stronger, more resilient, and infinitely more powerful than you were before. Hear a prophetic tone in your own heart as it declares, I am not diminished by their opposition. I am defined by it. This is the moment you reclaim the mantle you have always worn, a mantle woven from struggle and anointed with purpose. You were opposed because you are powerful. The more they tried to block you, the clearer your purpose became. Comment warrior if you feel their resistance has fortified your resolve. And as this truth settles into your bones, prepare yourself to step into the next revelation. how to stand anchored in the silence they hope would break you, and how to transform stillness into unshakable strength. And to every soul who supported with a super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters, your belief matters, and your light is felt here. The spirit of shame, a Mercury quiet moment, can split your world open when you least expect it. Perhaps amidst ordinary laughter at a dinner table or the casual banter in a muted group chat. You feel it first as a tightening in your chest, a subtle contraction that whispers, something here isn't right. In that instant, you sense a weight pressing down, not from the world's hectic pace, but from an undercurrent of rejection. It is as if invisible hands are twisting the knife of embarrassment, reminding you of every time you dare to shine and were met with mocking smiles. This is the first stir of the spirit of shame, a force that moves in silence to smother your light before it can fully blaze. The ache of that shame unfolds in the quiet hours when memories of harsh words revisit you. Recall the moment a trusted friend laughed when you shared your soul's vision, or when a mentor tossed aside your deep questions as naive. Feel how those jabs carve rivers of doubt through your confidence, leaving you parched for affirmation. It was not just the sting of being misunderstood, but the corrosive acid of believing you were unworthy of your own dreams. In these shadows, you learn to look away from your own brilliance, fearing it too dangerous to acknowledge. But what if those cruel, mirthful jabs were more than human error? What if they were the cloaked strikes of a spiritual current determined to drown your radiance? Ancient texts describe such trials. In the wilderness, Elijah faced the roaring wind and the earthquake only to hear the Lord in a whisper, 1 Kings 19 verses 11 to 12. Yet he was first battered by the elements that sought to break him. Likewise, the spirit of shame disguises itself as social cruelty, gossip that feels like a dagger, exclusion that settles like lead. This hidden battle is sanctified by the cosmos to test whether your flame can endure the dousing of denial. Looking back across the timeline of your life, you noticed a pattern. Ambitious projects sidelined by office politics, heartfelt conversations derailed by ridicule, presentations undercut by eye-rolling applause. These moments seemed isolated, but seen together, they form a tapestry of sabotage, a spiritual trap laid to catch your resolve. It's like lights flickering in a grand cathedral. The most radiant beams are targeted first, so the darkness can claim the shadows. When the choir of mocking voices crescendoed, they believed they silenced you, not knowing each chord only refined your harmony. The air and spaces where you dared to speak your truth often thickened unexpectedly. You remember the way fluorescent lights dimmed in conference rooms as you began to propose bold ideas, or how dinner guests shifted uncomfortably when you revealed your higher call. That oppressive fog was not simply social awkwardness, but energetic interference, an alpine blizzard of judgment summoned to bury your song beneath its drifts. It is the spiritual equivalent of a jinn's shadowy snare, seeking to entangle your feet and keep you from moving forward into the light. When faced with this invisible siege, you had choices. Fold into anonymity, chase the fleeting comfort of approval, or steel yourself and stand firm. Perhaps there were days you whispered apologies to yourself for speaking too boldly. Maybe you flinched at the prickle of eyes on your back, bending to the gravity of their disapproval. Or you might have rebelled softly, still pursuing your vision, but always with an eye on the exit doors of escape. Each reaction was a mirror reflecting your initial surrender to the weight of shame. But here is where the tide turns. This crucible of scorn was never a condemnation, but a confirmation of your power. The louder the mockery, the more your spirit shone. The corrosive acid of shame, once neutralized by awareness, becomes a very elixir that hardens your resolve. In that moment of flipping the script, choosing self-possession over self-flagellation, you reclaim what was stolen, your right to exist in full brightness. Like Peter stepping onto storm-tossed waves toward Christ, you choose faith over fear, drawing strength from each mocking wave aimed to sink you. Matthew 14, verse 29. You were targeted because you are powerful. Their jests were veiled admissions of your destiny. Comment shame if you sense this dark energy around you, and share a brief moment when you felt the weight begin to lift as you refuse their narrative. As you bring this revelation into your bones, prepare for the next unveiling. How every laugh they cast your way will echo in the silence of their awe when you stand fully awakened, crowned by the truth they once tried to bury. Watch them bow later. In the stillness before dawn, you stand at the edge of what was and what will be, feeling the weight of a choice that trembles in your bones. Will you cross the threshold from hidden potential to visible power? The moment of decision is skeletal in its clarity. Passivity melts away, and you become acutely aware that every second you linger in hesitation is a second spent dimming the light you were born to carry. This is your sacred crossroads, the doorway where you step, not into a new life, but into the full expression of the life that has always pulsed beneath your skin. The question reverberates through your spirit. Am I ready to claim what has been waiting for me all along? Beneath the surface of your days, you surrender fragments of your voice, soften your words to avoid conflict, tucked away your dreams to placate skeptics, and poured your energy into causes that never satisfied your deeper calling. That season of yielding was no mistake. It was your crucible, forging strength and patience you would need for what comes next. Now, in an act of fierce remembrance, you summon back every ounce of presence you ever scattered. With ritualistic intent, you declare, I reclaim my time, my energy, my voice. This is not a surrendered bravado, but a solemn vow to honor the throne of your soul, where your authority was anointed at birth. Feel the weight of your power settling into your hands like ancient scrolls inscribed with codes of divine purpose. Within you lies insight that reads the unspoken heart of situations, sensitivity that deciphers the subtlest tremor in the air, and a memory older than your lifetime, keyed to the archetypes of destiny. Discernment glints in your mind like a freshly forged blade, capable of cutting through illusion. These are not mere talents, but sacred tools, keys to chambers of revelation, armor to guard your spirit, and fire to light the path ahead. Recognize them not as abstract gifts, but as the very instruments you will wield in the work set before you. Now, take the first step on the road that stretches before you, knowing it is already laid by your own footsteps in dreams and prophecies. Clarity no longer dwells in distant visions. It emerges with each decisive action. The map reveals itself under the soles of your feet, a project that demands your full creativity, a relationship that calls your authentic heart, a calling that begs for your unfiltered devotion. Picture each stride as a brushstroke on a canvas of destiny, painting the contours of your mission in bold relief. In this cinematic movement, you are both actor and director, walking not into the unknown, but into fulfillment of a script written in the stars. Lift your gaze now to the horizon where kindred souls gather, invisible but united by the same current of awakening. You are not alone in this ascent. Soul tribes and divine clusters are ascending alongside you. See their lanterns flickering in the dusk, each flame aligned with yours. The days of dimming your brilliance to fit into dissolving structures are over. As the rising order reshapes the world, your light becomes a beacon calling others home. Embrace the truth that every act of self-reclamation sends ripples through the spiritual alliance, fortifying collective awakening that transcends time and space. Stand firmly and feel the hum of cosmic energy coursing through your veins, an invitation to take command of your spiritual stewardship. This is not an exercise in ego, but a ceremony of devotion, drawing clear lines around your time, your heart, and your dreams. Decide what nourishes your flame and what extinguishes it, and let your boundaries stand as guardian walls. In this act of command, you acknowledge that your spirit is a temple deserving of reverence. The choices you make now write the anthem of your devotion, each commitment a chord in the symphony of your higher purpose. Hear the voice of prophecy rise within you, clear and unwavering. All the trials, the silences, the mocking laughter, they led you here. Every moment of fear and doubt was the exact weight needed to build your wings. Now, in a single resonant declaration, you affirm, I am ready. No longer will hesitation hold you hostage. Your soul's readiness carries its own proof. Close your eyes and feel the portal opening, a space where flesh meets spirit, where your fullest self walks the earth. This is the final breath before liftoff, the stillness before the crescendo that will echo through hearts and history. This is your summons, not merely to watch them bow later, but to embody the force that compels their reverence. Comment triumph if you choose to walk this path, and share a moment when you first felt the tremor of your own readiness. Your testimony activates the awakening in others. As you stand poised on this threshold, know that the next revelation awaits. The unveiling of rituals and rhythms will carry you through every challenge, ensuring that when the world bows, it bows before a soul fully aligned with its divine mission. In the hush of a dream where silver mist swirls around ancient pillars, you stand barefoot on cool marble, sunlight spilling in shards through high windows. The echo of distant footsteps carries a promise. Your path was never random, but procession guided by voices only your soul could hear. In that liminal space, you sense the tapestry of your life unfurling, threads of laughter and tears weaving together into patterns you once dismissed as coincidence. Now, as dawn breaks over this vision, you awaken to a simple truth. Every moment of mockery, every shadow of doubt was placed there to shape the edges of your purpose, carving out the contours of destiny forged in both fire and gentle persistence. A sudden vision flickers at the edge of your awareness, revealing a cosmic loom where each "no" you heard becomes a silver strand in the greater design. The critiques you once internalized, the laughter that stung like thorns, now coil as delicate filaments of strength, connecting you to a divine architecture visible only to those who dare to see beyond the veil. You recognize that your role is not to fit into an existing pattern, but to complete it. Each choice, each act of faith, weaving a section of the grand mosaic that heralds the awakening of other chosen ones. In this tapestry, even the darkest hues serve a purpose, offering contrast that makes the emerging light all the more brilliant. As you tread this path, imagine yourself as a phoenix perched on the cusp of rebirth, every ember of past humiliation now sparking with possibility. The ashes of every mocking jest that once threatened to consume your spirit have become the fuel of your ascent. You feel a heat in your chest, an inner fire kindled by the knowledge that their attempts to dim your light only galvanize your inner flame. This is no mere metaphor, but a living reality. In the crucible of scorn and shame, you discovered a fire that cannot be quenched, a fire that will light the world once you choose to rise. In the silent chambers of your heart, an inner voice speaks with resolute clarity. You are more than their judgments, more than their mocking chorus. This voice carries a hush of ancient temples, the resonance of prophets who stood alone before kings and empires, unafraid of their jeers. It reminds you that every act of compassion, every moment you honored your truth despite ridicule, was a rehearsal for leadership in realms unseen. There comes a moment when the air around you thickens with possibility, as if unseen trumpets herald the approach of a new era. You sense countless souls stirring in distant lands, drawn by a frequency only your awakened spirit can channel. This is a rise of soul tribes, divine alliances that span continents and centuries, each member called into formation by the resonance of your light. No longer must you dim your brilliance to blend into the fading customs of an unawakened world. Instead, your radiance acts as a beacon, coalescing these scattered voices into a unified chorus destined to transform the very fabric of reality. A memory surfaces of standing at the water's edge, watching ripples widen until they merge with the current, carrying leaves and petals downstream. That image returns to you now as a revelation. Your life is a river of intention, gathering strength from each tributary of experience. Joy, sorrow, triumph, and trial. The no essent laughs were eddies that tested your resolve, but the river's flow never ceased. It carved canyons through resistance, brought life to parched valleys, and now, swollen with purpose, it surges toward an ocean of fulfillment. Feel the pull of this current. It carries you beyond the boundaries of fears you once believed immovable. In the twilight of hesitation, a prophecy whispers through your blood. The world awaits the activation of your divine mission. This is not a distant calling, but the drumbeat beneath your own heartbeat, urging you toward embodiment. The stones you trod upon in seasons of doubt become stepping stones to realization. The laughter that once sought to chain you now chimes like temple bells, marking the passage of old limitations. With each step, you complete the script authored by both heaven and your own unwavering will, moving toward a moment when your presence reshapes the contours of possibility. This is your summons to action, not merely to observe, but to embody the light you carry. Come and ascend if you feel the ripples of this awakening within you, and share a dream, memory, or inner knowing that first ignited your purpose. Your reflection becomes a bridge for others who stand on the threshold, waiting to cross into their own power. As your story mingles with theirs, the next revelation awaits, an unveiling of sacred rituals and rhythms that will anchor your transformation and ignite a wave of collective ascension that no force can stem. In the hush of dawn's first light, you feel the echo of that ancient drumbeat once more. It is not distant thunder, but the steady pulse beneath your own ribs, calling you to stand with purpose. The stones you walked on in darker days now lie polished, each one bearing a mark of learning and growth. Your laughter, once stifled by doubt, rings clear like temple bells, sending vibrations through every corridor of possibility. With every footfall, you complete a part of the grand script both heaven and you will have written, and the world's shape bends to the force of your presence. Your breath becomes an invocation, a sacred offering carried on the wind. Each inhale draws in strength from every trial endured. Each exhale releases the old stories that no longer serve. In this deliberate rhythm, you find the altar of your own becoming. You place your doubts there like faded cloth and watch them burn away in the light of your fierce resolve. Here is where your body and spirit unite in a single vow, to live boldly, to shine without apology, and to guide others by the beacon of your own rise. As you move forward, you trace new contours across the map of destiny. You step into lands of uncharted hope, trusting the inner compass that has never steered you wrong. Alongside you, kindred souls gather, drawn by the silent power of your ascent. Together, you form pathways where none existed, forging routes of compassion and courage to those still finding their way. In this shared expedition, every heart becomes both guide and traveler, and the journey blossoms into a living tapestry of collective awakening. Now, hear the summons that pulses through your veins. This is no mere invitation, but a clarion call to ascend. Comment, ascend, if you feel the stirring of this holy charge within you, and share the dream or moment when your own purpose first ignited. Soon, we will unveil the sacred rituals and daily rhythms that anchor your transformation and send ripples of collective ascension across the world. Prepare to step fully into your power, for a wave of change awaits, one that no force can halt. In the stillness before action, you feel a subtle tremor beneath your skin, a reminder that every heartbeat carries a call of your mission. The earth beneath you holds the echoes of your footsteps past, each one a testament to trials overcome and truths uncovered. Now, those echoes guide you forward, turning doubt into fuel and fear into focus. As you move, you shape the invisible forces around you, bending the stream of possibility to your will. Every stride you take writes new lines in the story of your becoming, proving that the most profound change springs from a single, determined step. Your voice rises like a chant, clear and unwavering, stitching you into the tapestry of souls on the same path. You speak not just words, but woven spells of intention, casting threads of hope into the world. Each phrase carries weight, anchoring dreams in the soil of reality and inspiring others to sow their own seeds. In this shared incantation, your heartbeat merges with countless others, forming a chorus of renewal that drifts on the wind. The resonance you create ripples outward, awakening hidden courage in hearts that have forgotten how to beat with purpose. Now, turn your gaze inward to discover the sacred rituals waiting at the edge of your awareness. These daily acts, breathing with intent, pause and honor your strength, speaking gratitude into the morning light, will become the drumbeat of your transformation. In each ritual, you forge a bridge between earth and spirit, between the self you were and the self you are becoming. Let these practices be your anchor when storms arise, guiding you back to the center of your own power. As you weave them into your day, watch how your life takes on new shape, filled with quiet wonder and steadfast grace. As the wave of collective ascension builds, you stand at the threshold of a new dawn. Your light, once hidden, now streams outward like rays of the rising sun. In this brilliance, you become a living gateway, inviting others to cross into their own power. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment, "I am chosen to let this message anchor in your soul." Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you to all supporting members for your unwavering faith. 4 full prophetic revelations daily. Join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the Super Thanks button to support the mission. Every Super Thanks fuels the light we're spreading together. Remember, Chosen One, those who mocked you first will bow before your glory.